learned one thing. When I covered a shitty Eagle passing game, when I tune on a game like I did last night, I forget what a great passing game looks like. When I covered a shitty Eagle passing game and that noodle arm quarterback in Philly. Woohoo! I learned one thing. When I covered a shitty Eagle passing game, when I tune on a game like I did last night, I forget what a great passing game looks like. When I covered a shitty Eagle passing game and that noodle arm quarterback in Philly. Dink, dink, dink. I'm watching something last night that was spectacular. Hey, you want to see a passing game? You want to see a true NFL passing game? You watch those two football teams that you saw last night. Not that bullshit you watch in Philly every Sunday. Dink, 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 dink. 114 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 42 yards. Dink, dink. I mean, I found out, and I'm watching this game last night, and I'm going like this. Holy shit. That's what I'm talking about, man. Those were offenses last night. Those are the two best teams in the NFC. And I would even make this comment to you. The three best teams in pro football this year are the Seahawks, the Rams, and the Denver Broncos. The rest of you guys are grabbing crumbs. You're grabbing crumbs. That's how you throw the football around the yard. Dink, 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 dink. Boom, down the field. Big plus 25 plays. Stafford was sensational last night. Absolutely great. One of those teams is going to win the NFC. You bet your ass on that, my friends. I don't buy the Patriots. I don't buy really any of the other teams in the AFC except the Buffalo Bills. I think the Bills and the Denver Broncos are going to play in the AFC Championship game. Do me a favor, guys. Please hit the like button. Super chats go to the top here on this Football Friday. 457 yards passing by Stafford. By the way, I came away with those two teams last night, and I learned more about Seattle than I did the Rams. I did. I learned more about Seattle. And for whatever reason, do you know who has won more football games in the last 2 years? That has been Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold has won more football games in the last 2 years in the regular season than any quarterback in the league. And this guy was a cast-off. Man, if you're the Jets or you're Minnesota and you're watching this guy, and you got Justin Fields and you got J.J. McCarthy in your house, and those are your fucking quarterbacks, you got a massive problem, man. Darnold's by far better than those guys. I am also having a tough time doing this. You know what I'm having a tough time doing? Calling Sam Darnold a good football player. By the way, a year ago, when that was his very first playoff game, was it not? How did Jalen Hurts play in his football game's first playoff? He was horrible. Did he learn from playing in his first playoff game? He got the shit pushed in by the Buccaneers in his first playoff game. Okay? That's not a narrative on Sam. The narrative on Sam is he's a stiff. He's been fired from numerous teams. Last 2 years, this guy's put up tremendous numbers and wins. Sam Darnold wins games. This guy fucking wins. By the way, you see this here? Glazing? How many people would glaze 26-6? How many people would glaze 26-6? 26-6. He says that's glazing. Nobody's won more. By the way, Darnold's a better passer than your boy. By far from the pocket. That guy has more skill than Hurts will ever have from the pocket. Ever. Ever. Ever have. And by the way, let's not forget something else with Darnold. Darnold was with the Jets. Hurts was with the Eagles. Difference in organizations. Darnold was with the Carolina Panthers. Hurts was with the Eagles. He gets into two good places with decent coaching in Minnesota and in Seattle. He's a winner. Organizations let quarterbacks down all the time. You put better players around them and better coaches, you get a better result. By the way, I'm not a Sam Darnold guy. I still have a tough time with his name coming out of my mouth here saying that guy's good. But his numbers speak to it. And to Sue, his winning speaks to it. He's 26-6. Okay, he's 26-6 on two different teams. You can't say he's not it. He's 26-6 on the Vikings and Seahawks. He's done it in two different places. You show me another quarterback that has done that. Actually, two. Let's get it right, kid. I know you want to make your boy sound better, but he's not. Let me take a look. I haven't even looked at Darnold's overall numbers for the year. Let's see where he is. So in two different football teams, let's see what Sam Darnold has done this year. Let me see right here. Where's Sam Darnold? Darnold's third in the NFL in passing. Now, again, he's played one more game, obviously, than the rest because it starts week 16 off. So he's going to end up with 4,200 passing yards and 27 touchdowns. The picks are high. The 15 picks are high. You know what? That's never escaped him from his days when he was at Southern Cal. He turned the football over when he was at USC too. So, I mean, the turnovers a little bit, still high volume. What's his number of passes and attempts that he's going to have? That's not high. That's going to be around Jalen. Jalen protects the football better. But Jalen Hurts will never, ever throw for 4K. He will never throw for 4,000 yards. Let's see where he's at now. Let me see my man Jalen Hurts here, where he's trending now. He might be trending up more. He just might. Let's see here. Where's he going to finish the year? And all that depends on if he plays the last game of the year too. So he'll end up with about, that'll be a good year. 3,500 yards and 27 touchdowns and 7 picks. That's a good season, man. 482 attempts. And the key difference is the 7 picks versus the 15 picks with Darnold. 65 completion percentage. That's down a lot for Jalen. He's usually around 67, 68. Not horrible. I think it's been if he ends up with 27 TDs, he should really pad his stats these next at least 2 games. That should be a pretty good season for him. For a guy that really is not known for being a passer, that wouldn't be a bad season for him. So, again, winning is a quarterback stat for Darnold today. No. Well, if it's a quarterback stat for Hurts, it's a quarterback stat for him. Oh, for what? Well, then, if we're not going to go stats and winning, Darnold's 10 times better the passer. Hey, I'm helping you out, senor, because that's the only thing he has is a better team over Darnold. And he may not even have that this year. You're in a good quarterback unless you throw for an arbitrary number, I decide. Silz. Arbitrary number? No. Welcome to the rest of the NFL. Taking advantage of the league today. Hey, bro, I'm not the only one that thinks that shit about your boy. You're groping Sam Darnold and crucifying Hurts. No, what I'm crucifying is your passing offense. It's terrible. Let's see here. Let's take a look at something else here. go down this lane here. See again. I haven't really watched a ton of Seattle Seahawks football this year. So let me see something here. Let's see where the Seahawks are. Those are the two best teams in the NFC. Seahawks are 9th in total offense. Eagles are 23rd. Passing offense, Seahawks are 7th. The Eagles are 24th. Rushing offense, the Seahawks are 19th. The Eagles are 20th. Scoring, Seahawks are 3rd. Philly is 18th. Red zone, great number. Eagles are 1. Seattle 16th. Third down, Philly's 23rd. Seattle is, where are they? Where's Seattle here on third down? They're 18th. Kind of a wobbly offense. More wobbly than I thought. Okay? Darnold's played in one fucking playoff game, guy. If you're going to go by that, he's played in one playoff game in his entire career. Outrageous? It's outrageous to compare him to Jalen Hurts' first playoff game. He was atrocious. You don't think he learned from that? I think Jalen learned how to play in the postseason. Bro, Silz, keep this receipt. Seattle is fool's gold. Well, wait a minute. Seattle's played consistent football all year long and in a better division than you. How's it fool's gold when they got to play San Francisco and the Rams? By the way, that earlier game, when Darnold threw 4 picks, they only lost 22-19. Wasn't like they were out of that ball game. They still had a chance to win that game late. Here goes Silz acting like Darnold's Tom. No, you're missing the point, dickhead. Sam Darnold, where he's come from, is an amazing story. To be 26-6. He was fired by the Jets. He was fired by Carolina. If I'm not mistaken, he was also in San Francisco. 3 teams. And I remember Kyle Shanahan going, this guy's good. He goes to Minnesota. He wins 14 ball games. He goes to Seattle. There's a great chance he's going to win 14 games again. This guy's got a shot to go 28-6 in 2 years. Yeah, you're right. That sucks. You're right. And he was not the number 1 overall pick. I don't think. Was he? Was Darnold the number 1 overall pick? Let me see. Sam Darnold was the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. Was he? With the Jets? I thought he was in the top 5. I thought he came out in the top 5. He was the first round, 3rd pick overall. Try getting your shit right, guy. Most of the time you're 90% of the time you're wrong. So are you comparing a second-year Hurts to a 7th-year Darnold? Apples to oranges. No. I'm talking about playoff experience. Okay? Darnold wasn't the number 1 overall. No, he was the 3rd player taken, of course. All right. So last night, I'm going to tell you something, and I'm going to give the Eagles some love here. I wrote down some quarterbacks that Vic Fangio's played against, and what gives me some hope for you guys that you guys get into a playoff. I wrote some numbers down. Let me take a look at last night's game. And I want to show you something. This goes into a favorable thing getting into the playoffs. You guys are getting in the playoffs. So let me go here. You had 581 yards by the Rams. You had 415. Okay? You had 457 yards. What is it? 415. Okay? You had 966 yards in total offense in this ball game. Well, I wrote some quarterbacks down that you've played against this year. Dak Prescott. Now, what did Dak do in that second game versus you guys? I didn't write down the second one. Let me see what he did in the second game versus you guys. Let's see here. Cowboys, Eagles. The 24-21 where he came back. Okay, let's see what Dak did. Dak threw for 354 in the second one. That's an outlier. I'll explain. These numbers are going to help you. Okay? So Dak in the first game threw for 24-34 for 188. Mahomes was 16 of 29 for 187. Stafford was 19 of 33 for 196. Mayfield was 22 of 40 for 289. Herbert was 12 of 26 for 139. My point is, those quarterbacks aren't going to do that against the Eagle defense. They're not doing that against Vic. The 354 that Dak had, that's an outlier. The only way you're going to beat a Vic Fangio defense is if you can run the ball. And if you can't run the ball now, Seattle had 170-something last night. That's what gives Seattle the best chance of beating Philly, is the ability that they had last night to run the ball. Running the football in third down was the key to that game. And plus, third down for the Rams was terrible last night, if you look at it. And then some of them penalties stopped drives. I don't believe any of the quarterbacks in the postseason, you're not throwing for 388 against or 457 yards against Vic. You're just not. Okay? You're not doing that. I don't buy that. The 354 Dak game, that's an outlier game. You know, I was watching it. I thought it was great offense, and it is great offense. But if you're going to play in today's NFL playoffs, you got to run the ball and you got to stop people. You beat Kansas City because of your defense. You didn't beat Kansas City because of your offense. You beat them because of the way you play D. And in the cold places that sometimes you're going to have to go, especially if you have to go to Seattle and Seattle wins home field, you got to travel 3,000 miles. When's the last time the Eagles have ever beaten Seattle in Seattle? Does anybody know? Okay. Yeah. Hey, I'm telling you, you're not going to see 457 on a Vic Fangio defense. You're just not. Yeah. Okay. You're not going to put that kind of yardage up on them. I don't believe that. You would have to prove to me that you're going to be able to put that kind of offense up on them. You know, listen, if what the Bears did and how the Bears were able to move the football, they didn't move the ball through the air. They moved the football through the ground attack. That's how they were able to beat you guys, is running the football. Again, like I said, Mahomes had 187. Stafford had 196. Shit, you kept the majority of these big-time quarterbacks under 200 yards passing. The only quarterbacks really to go over 200 yards was Mayfield and was Dak in the second game when they came back down from 21. So the last time you guys went to Seattle and won was 08. Not that shit really matters that much. I mean, you know, it doesn't. It's still a tough place to play, as is Denver. And I still think that's dude, Silz has selective memory again. Eagles beat Kansas City because of Hurts and his running. Bro, I can't stand Hurts, but am real. Plus, Kelsey dropped the interception. Though I'm not talking about Kansas City's quarterback. I'm talking about the Eagles' defense here. You're not going to see teams put up 350 yards or 400 yards in passing like you saw Stafford do last night. You're missing the point. You're missing what I'm saying. This favors the Eagles in the playoffs. Vic Fangio's not going to have what you saw last night happen to Philly. Philly's not giving 581 up unless it's 300 on the ground. The Achilles heel for the Eagles this year is the running game on both sides of the ball. They can't stop the run, and they can't run the ball. And this is why you're not a Super Bowl team. And this is why I say you're not. You can't run it. You can't stop it. You're not very good at stopping the run. Now, look, these next 3 weeks are going to make the numbers look a little better, but you can't stop the run. Good old lines take you to school. The Cowboys beat you all in both games up front. Hey, Silz, will the defense be the same or better when Carter gets back? How could it not be better? The Eagles are a playoff team. Bro, the Eagles' defense is not a playoff defense. There's 5 new dudes there. Where are you getting that from? That's a brand new group with guys that have played in the playoffs. Your edge rushers are brand new. Okay? You got safeties and corners that are brand new. I mean, where do teams run the ball at Philly? Off tackle. They run at your edge rushers. Guys, Super Chats go to the top on this Football Friday. We appreciate it. Some great games this weekend, too. Some telling games. Vic doesn't use numbers advantages in run defense. He only uses it when he really has to. They have seen the Bears again. Hey, and they'll be ready for they'll use 6-man fronts. That sounds about right. You're right, Brandon. I think you give Vic Fangio a second time to look at him. I think that'll favor them. Hey, listen, against the Bears, I would take you over Chicago in Chicago. I would do that. Absolutely. I'm late. So let me hear about those bum Rams, and you honey glaze our defense will get us back to the Super Bowl. Book it. Rams not – bro, this whole entire Super Chat that he's fucking putting up here is garbage. The Rams have played 10 times more consistent football the entire year versus your fucking garbage offense. Okay, the only thing that has been getting better and trying to get better has been your defense, not that shitty fucking garbage offense who can't get out of their own way. Marshall, you can't run the ball and you can't stop the run. Plain and simple. I appreciate the super, though, dude. The Rams are superior to you, and so is Seattle. Give me a break. That shitty offense that you think the Eagles have, it's a shit offense. I mean, what are you talking about? This guy's making it sound like the Eagles have a great offense. Give me a break. Dude, you want to see great offenses? That's what you saw last night was great offenses. Not that shitty fucking offense in Philly. Now, again, I don't think you're going to put those kind of points up on Philly's defense. I don't. Rams ain't superior to fucking shit. We beat that doesn't matter. Next 3 weeks will tell how Vic will handle run. Washington and Buffalo. Washington can run the football. What you did earlier in the year with the Rams when they outplayed you completely means nothing even on the Rams side. Nothing. Seals, the key to good playoff defense is sustaining drives on offense. The defense is 4th in sacks since the bye. Bend but don't break. I think they're getting better. I do. I think the Eagle defense is getting better, especially in the pass defense. I think they're getting better. I learned both the Rams and Seahawks defenses aren't. How do you know that you're looking at superior offenses? Okay? How do you know you're not looking at superior offenses? And these two offenses are, I don't really think Seattle's an offense. The Rams have the best offense in the NFC. Okay? And by the way, what did you guys have in that Rams game? Let's see what you guys had in total offense in that Rams game against that Ram. If you want to use that Rams game, let's see what you guys did in that Rams football game and what you did in total offense against them. Let's see here. What the Eagles put up? They held you under 300 yards. You had 86 yards rushing in the ball game. 86 yards, and you had 17 first downs. And they held you to 60 plays. I don't know. They shut your run game down. They shut your run game down. Seattle went for 174 last night. I know. Winning is irrelevant, I guess. No, what you did earlier in the season's irrelevant. Remember in 23 when the Bucs, you beat them and the Bucs cleaned your clock? The team you saw in September won't resemble the teams you see in December. 49ers win all 3 games, number 1 seed. Could be. Is that right? They're 10-4. Seattle would have to drop a game. San Francisco could get the number 1 seed still. That's available for them. They could still win believe it or not, they could still win the NFC West. Yes. They're still in the mix for the NFC West. They played the Colts on Monday night. Only thing is shitty is you reading that whole super chat was read out of context. Our defense will get us to the Super Bowl. Well, let me go back then. Let's see here. Put that other one back up for me then, Xander. By the way, Marsh, appreciate you doing that, man. I'm late, so let me hear about those bum Rams, you honey glaze. Our defense will get us back to the Super Bowl. Book it. Rams not good. What's your next team? How you doing? My next team is the Rams. I'm not wavered. They're still better than you. Silz, isn't it nuts that the Rams may finish 3rd in the West? Yeah, the West is a great division. Rams had the tougher schedule. They won the division a year ago. Seattle got a break last night. I've never seen that. That 2-point conversion play. So Darnold threw the ball, a lateral, and it went backwards or behind the line of scrimmage. It hit off of, was it Verse? Or it's Guy Blitzen or somebody. It hit off a Ram, and it went into the end zone. I got to tell you one thing I was always taught. I was always told by like Wannstedt and Jimmy, if you're a defensive guy, always grab and pick the ball up. You never know if it changes possession. Always grab it. That was well coached. You're always told on deflected passes, just pick the ball up. You never know. It could change possession, and it did. And they ended up getting the 2, and it was clearly the difference in the football game. Tight game like that, points have become a premium. I've never seen anything like that play before. That was a wild play last night. No, and it was the right call. It was a lateral pass. It deflected off a Ram, and it went into the end zone. Absolutely. I mean, no, it was a lateral pass. Lateral passes, if you rolled the ball laterally, the Ram guy could have picked it up and took it and scored. So when it deflected off him and it hit off him and it was a lateral, the ball's live. It deflected into the end zone, and I've never seen that happen like that. And it was the right call. It was a legitimate play, absolutely. I'm like, no fucking way. Sure enough, he touches it, makes it live. Now, if a Seahawk had touched it, it's dead ball. But since the Ram guy touched it, it became a live ball. and it went forward. Instead, usually it goes backwards. It went forward. The guy goes over, picks the ball up, and it's a 2-point conversion. Brilliant. Brilliant coaching to tell the kid, always teach him, pick the ball up. You never know if possession changes. Okay? The guy who picked the ball up was an I8. No, you're told to do that, though. Okay? You're told to do that. But it never turns out that you change possession. That time it did. I mean, it was just an awesome play, man. I mean, and the referees were right to go back and look. Okay? The Rams didn't play a tougher schedule than the Eagles. I didn't say that. I said they played a tougher schedule than the fucking Rams or the 49ers. We were talking about the 49ers winning the West. Nobody said they played a tougher schedule than the Eagles did. The Eagles won a Super Bowl. Of course you're going to play a tougher one. It's not what we said. The Rams have a habit of letting the Rams do one thing that the Eagles don't do. The Eagles have a lead on you. Now, again, I think the Cowboy game was an outlier when you surrender 21 points. That's so not you. There were a couple things that happened this year to your team that Eagle teams don't traditionally do. You gave up almost 300 yards in rushing against the Bears. You gave up a 21-point lead. That's all I need to know about your team. You're capable of losing leads, and you're capable of being run on. And as a matter of fact, most teams have run the ball down your throats this year to the tune of 135 yards a game. You get 135, 140 yards like that, run on you, anybody can beat you. You can't run it. And the other fact is, you're one of the best teams, or worst teams, I should say, in 3-and-outs on both sides, defense and offense. You can't stay on the field, and you can't get off the field. And you can't run the ball, and you can't defend the run. That's why you're not an elite football team. Yes, that's right. Okay? Tells it how it is. No. You're capable of beating anybody. You're capable of losing to anybody. A year ago, that wasn't the case. You're not losing to shitty teams. That team last year was not losing to anybody shitty. That 22 team really, outside, if I'm not mistaken, I think you guys lost to was it the Jets? That was probably the last shitty loss going into this year, where you've had these wobbly games this year. Okay? But every TD last week was middle of the field. I took nothing away from last week. Nothing. I don't even bring it up. NFC's wide open? Yes. But traditionally, capable of beating anyone and losing to anyone. That's literally the entire NFL with high-value analysis. Last year, that wasn't the case. Dick bag. It is one of the years that everything is wide open. I don't know who's winning the AFC. High-value analysis? Here's another one. Somebody ran the ball down your throat for 300 yards. You lost a 21-point lead, and you've beaten two teams that have winning records in the last 8 games. How's that for you? What do you think? Not true. We beat the Raiders. We're back. I love that. Yeah, because you're preying on our downfall. Yeah, that's what I want to do. Prey on your downfall. No, I'm making you realistic. Even when you don't want it, you will be taught how to be realistic and how to be a fan of the game. That's what we're doing here. Glazed donuts. I love you the most, because what we have to do is recondition you. All the glazed donuts. Silz Max said, looking at all the teams in the playoffs, the Eagles and Rams, the only ones with the most experience. Okay, experience. That's funny. I remember that the youngest team in the National Football League won a Super Bowl. I remember Jimmy saying that when they played the Bills in the Super Bowl. And the Bills had been to 3 Super Bowls in a row, or they had been to 2 Super Bowls in a row. And I remember Jimmy going like this. That team, every single guy on that Bills team had been to the Super Bowl 2 years in a row. And really nobody on the Cowboys had been to a playoff game. They put 55 on them. Better teams win. Better teams win. I don't care how much experience you have. Better teams win football games. Better players. You can have all the experience in the world. You can have, what's the word Xander uses? Pedigree? The Buffalo Bills have been to 2 Super Bowls. Cowboys kicked the shit out of them with the youngest team in the league because they were just better. I mean, better players. I don't give a fuck how experienced you are. Give me the better roster. Give me the better team playing better football versus the experienced team. Seattle's is the most well-rounded team in the NFC. Sam Darnold showed me something last night that he could fight out of problems. Something he couldn't do a year ago. Throws picks. I think he learned from that disaster playoff game a year ago. Better teams win unless a team loses and has more passing yards. I have no idea what that is, but usually from this guy here, Professor Diddlestick, usually has some of the worst takes on the planet. So Professor Diddlestick, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. Silz, there's no offense in the NFC who can. No, I agree. That's my point. I don't really think anybody's putting 500 yards on Vic Fangio's defense. I don't. Cowboys smoke Raiders. They're world beaters. Eagles smoke Raiders. I didn't take anything from it. You're ready for ESPN, dope pundit job. Here, how about this? Hey, Griv. I never said that the Cowboys were a fucking playoff team or a Super Bowl team. I said there's a shot they may make it. They got better. They improved. I thought the Cowboys would win 5 games this year. They improved. They became a better team. Nowhere in the world did I ever say that they were a team that's going to win the NFC. That's where I broke it down from. They got better. They beat you. They're getting better. They're trending up. Beating the Raiders or beating anybody for the Cowboys is a big deal. I thought you were a Super Bowl contender. The Cowboys aren't a Super Bowl contender. You are. There. Is that enough? And if not, sit back and listen and put your aluminum foil hat back on. Because I'm sure you fucking need a glazed donut. Let's see here. 5 games is improving from what? Well, here, let's see. Where are they now? Are they 6-7-1? They improved by winning more games than they did that I thought, and they beat you. That's improving. And they came back from 21 down to beat you. That's improving. I don't know what world you're from, senorita. The Eagles have higher experience than beating the Raiders. We're champions. Act like it. I like that. What's wrong with donuts? Absolutely nothing. Didn't the Cowboys go 12-5 3 years in a row? Yeah. Then they had to get and cut money. Zach Martin retired. They had Zeke Elliott was finished. They got rid of numerous guys in the O-line on defense. Yeah. I mean, bro, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're even talking about. I'm old enough to remember when Dan Sileo said Super Bowls are overrated. No, not overrated. It's the ultimate team goal. Players? Funny. What's that Sam Darnold thing? I want to show you something. Where was that? Let's see something here. I'm going to show you something. Sam Darnold's salary. Sam Darnold pay 2025. I want to show you something here. Let's see here. Okay. Here's what Sam Darnold's making. So he just signed a 3-year contract, and it's over $100 million. Okay? Look at what he has. Look at what his things are in his contract. Passer rating performances, completion percentage, passing touchdowns, passing yards. If he could take a team to the playoff, wins, playing time percentage. Nowhere in there, Super Bowl wins. Players aren't paid on that. They're not paid on that shit. When are you going to learn? As a player, you have no control of going to a Super Bowl. It's organizational. It's putting the right 53 together. You don't have to be exceptional. Look at Sam Darnold. To have a team sitting number 1 right now in the NFC. Look at this. Sam Darnold, right now, is the number 1 seed in the NFC playoffs. You think he's exceptional? He's the number 1 seed. I thought you had to be exceptional. Look at Bo Nix. Bo Nix exceptional? Bo Nix ain't exceptional. 2 okay quarterbacks have the top teams in the NFL. Huh. Now, one of those guys are elite quarterbacks. Darnold or Nix. How can that be? Well, if you're on a good roster, you're in a good organization like John Schneider has in Seattle, and what you're seeing with Sean Payton doing in Denver, you don't have to have an exceptional quarterback to go to Super Bowls and win them. My point has been proven this year in 2025. You don't have to have an elite quarterback to have the top seeds. Who's the 2 teams right now that lead their conferences? They're not elite. You don't have to have an elite quarterback. You have to have an elite roster. So let's get that right. I know that's so hard for you to hear. You think if you have the number 1 seed and you go to a Super Bowl, you have an elite quarterback. You don't. These guys are proving my point. If you got a good team, you got a good defense, and you can run the football, which both teams can do, you got a great shot at winning your conference. I mean, it's pretty much not choice these days in the NFL to not have an elite quarterback. Quarterback play in the national football generally sucks these days. Yeah, especially when it comes to progression reading. Darnold choked last night. Darnold choked last night. The Rams took the foot off the gas with back-to-back 3-and-outs. Darnold didn't choke. He won the game. Oh, by the way, Darnold choked. They took the ball out of his hands and they gave it to the running game, right? Kind of like your team. Right? Silz, the playoffs are a whole different season than the regular season. Yes, it is. In all seriousness, what is the criteria for an elite quarterback? Is it stats, wins, sex appeal? Well, the last one's stupid, but wins, of course, and talent. Dude, use your eyeball test. When you watch a game and you watch somebody like Matthew Stafford throw the football, do you see that in Philly? Do you see that quarterback in Philly? Stafford's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Stats, numbers, Super Bowls, wins, 67,000 yards. I'll make a promise to you. By the time Jalen Hurts is done playing football, he'll have half of 65,000 passing yards. If he's lucky. He'll have half that number. Have more elite quarterbacks won more Super Bowls than non-elite quarterbacks? That is a great topic. It's a freaking great topic. Great topic. Let's see here. That's a great topic, man. I love that. Love it. Let's see here. Let's see. Bart Starr 1-2. Elite? No. Namath? Elite. Namath had more losses than wins and more interceptions than touchdowns. But he played for the shitty Jets. Dawson, not elite. Unitas, elite. Greasy's not elite. Bradshaw's elite. Stabler's elite. Staubach's elite. Montana. Theismann's not elite. Plunkett's not elite. McMahon's not elite. Williams is not elite. Sims is not elite. Rippon is not elite. Aikman is not elite. Favre is. Manning is. Kurt Warner, not elite. Brady. Roethlisberger. Eli, not. Breeze. Russell, not. Foles, not. Mahomes. I'll make the point here in a sec. Hurts, not. Out of the 60 or the 59 Super Bowls played, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's been 10 elite quarterbacks. Elway, you're right. 11. You're right, 11. 11 out of 59. Rest of them are not elite quarterbacks. You think Russell Wilson was an elite quarterback? I don't. I think Russell Wilson was a really good player. Dude, you could be really great. I mean, a really good player. Kurt Warner was not an elite player. Kurt Warner was a really good player. Kurt Warner's like Peyton Manning's in there. Yeah, you're right, 12. Eli's not, but Peyton is. There's 12 dudes out of 59 Super Bowls. Okay? Stafford, true gunslinger, especially in this young days when he was up in Detroit. The kid was crazy. Crazy great. By the way, remember there used to be an argument when they came out of college? Tebow versus Stafford. Tebow owned Stafford when he was at Georgia. I don't know if he ever beat Tebow. But there was a conversation that Tebow was the better player coming out of college. And I remember I went to those Georgia and Florida games because I covered them. And I'm like, there's no way in the planet Tim Tebow is a better football player than Matthew Stafford. That just wasn't true. That's just not true. And it's turned out to be that way. Those two guys came out of college, I think, the same year. I think Stafford may have been the number 1 overall pick. Okay? Russ was a Bear. That's why get this. No way, man. Hey, did you see Beast Mode last night on Prime Video? How many times did they beep him? He was fucking classic last night. I mean, they were just like muting him because he's just dropping F-bombs. I love that guy, man. I love him. But when Marshawn Lynch left Seattle's football team fell to pieces. They never were able to get back to the Super Bowl. They were never able ever to be an elite a team again because they had the Eagle mentality of what you guys do today. Back then, they ran the ball. They played tight defense. They had that Legion of Boom, and they ran the ball. Just spectacular players, man. What makes Namath the leak? Because he made a guarantee? No, because he was one of the only players in pro football to take that gamble and go to the AFL and go to a team that was basically an expansion team. That's why. Remember something, Wayne. He went to the AFL. He was supposed to go to the St. Louis Cardinals. And instead, he went to the AFL. Was cast-offs of the NFL players. And it was all expansion. They weren't very good teams in the beginning. And when Namath got there, he transformed that team so that they would go on and they beat the Baltimore Colts. That Colts team was one of the best teams in the league at the time, if not the best. Silz, you named 12 elite super. Okay, super elite quarterbacks? Well, yeah, that's what we were talking about. Some of those other guys were really good players. Greasy and those guys. Hey, Bob Greasy threw the ball 12 times a game. I mean, funny. In 1973, Bob Greasy threw the ball 12 times a game. In 2025, Jalen Hurts throws the ball 12 times a game. I said Favre was elite. Brett Favre is an elite player. How could you be elite when you have one of the shittiest passing offenses in football? How can you? If it wasn't for that horrible call, he'd have 2 Super Bowls on his way to the Hall of Fame. Bro, it's not going to guarantee. Now, I think it would probably make that call if he does. Let's see how he plays it out, though. I've named numerous guys that have won Super Bowls. Favre was an MVP at the time he was elite. Jalen Hurts, will he ever get close to winning a most valuable player again? Never. 22 was his last shot. He's not going to win an MVP regular season. It's not going to happen. 22 was his best shot. He's not going to get close to that again because Nick Sirianni wants to run the ball. They don't want to throw the ball. He's not going to be in that conversation. I said who won Super Bowls. So there are Hall of Fame quarterbacks who are not elite. How does that work? There are Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Okay, do you think that Troy Aikman was a beneficiary of being on a great team? Or do you think that in his time, would you take John Elway or Troy Aikman? Real zeal. Who would you take? Would you take Aikman over Marino? Would you take Aikman over Montana? Those are all Hall of Fame guys. He won 3 Super Bowls. Troy Aikman. Would you take Troy Aikman over Peyton Manning? He's won more Super Bowls than Peyton Manning. Would you take Aikman over Warren Moon? Would you take Aikman over John Elway or Jim Kelly? He's not better than those guys. He was a product in the environment around him. I think Troy I would never take a guy who carried a franchise on his back. Again, these guys are all subject to the organizations they play for. Warren Moon was in Houston. Threw for 70,000 yards. You mean to tell me you think Troy Aikman was a more gifted player than Warren Moon? You'd be the only guy to say that. Warren Moon threw for 70,000 yards. Okay? Moon threw to a bunch of garbage yards. Garbage yards, those garbage yards are how he got paid and how he kept the Oilers and the Vikings and Seahawks in playoff games because those organizations didn't build enough around him. What are you talking about? He had the greatest contract in the history of the league. Lee Steinberg said that when they put a contract together, he could never be paid lower than the third. And at the time, it was Marino, Elway, and it was Montana. He was never paid lower than those three guys. At any time in his career, garbage. Dude, Warren Moon is one of the fucking greatest players to ever play. Garbage. You have no idea. Anybody who says that Warren Moon had a garbage career has no idea about what football is. What a fucking crazy comment. Dude, are you fucking nuts? Silz, what about the man on the moon? Was it Warren that first landed? Absolutely. The first black quarterback, in my opinion, that became significant when it came to contracts. He was the first biggest and highest paid guy. That dude landed right in the middle of the National Football League at the right time. Dude, wow, look at him praising Moon. That's surprising me because you probably called him a monkey. No, he's been on the program about what, dude? 15 times? Because he's a friend. You are a nobody. Warren, so let me ask you this here, Eric. I know that you go on the Twitter there and you're probably the same guy talking shit to Puka Nacua because you think he hates Jews because he made that comment that he didn't know or he did that dance. And you probably think he hates Jews too, but he doesn't. He's a good dude. And I believe him when he apologized. But you probably think he's probably a Jew hater too, right? He's not. He made a mistake. Warren Moon's been on this program 5 times. So a guy that you think that I called a monkey, you think he'd come on this program? He's been on 5 times, and he's a personal friend of mine. You think I called my personal friend a monkey? And do you think he believes that? Do you? Eric, why would somebody like Warren Moon, who fought racism his entire life, come on my program? Sometimes you should watch the guests like Doug Williams and Warren Moon who come on my program. These guys aren't friends of mine because they're black. These guys are friends of mine because they're my friends. They're my friends. I played against them. We've gone out together. Okay? Of course you do. But then again, you don't know anybody who knows me. You don't know any. And by the way, I guess you think I am because I'm critical of Hurts. That's low forehead brow thinking. Doesn't surprise me. Bro, you think you're frightening me off from being critical of Hurts or anybody in this league? You have the fucking wrong guy and the wrong show. We do not hide under our desk at all. That ain't happening. That ain't happening. You think that? You ain't beating me down to sit there and not be critical of somebody there. Let me move this back over here this way here. Got to get the Jerome Brown jersey in there. That's what we got to go here. How you doing? How you doing, my friends? Canes on Saturday. You bet, man. Okay? Yes, sir. You bet I'm prejudiced. I'm prejudiced against douchebags like you, fuckbag. Okay? Let's see here. I don't agree with Silz a lot of the time, but Silz ain't no racist. Get the fuck out of here. How you doing? Guys are great. I haven't even gotten to my topic yet. Big Z will join us at 3:30. Mike North at 4:30. The legendary Philly Godfather will join us. What a big weekend in the NFL. I cannot wait. I am jacked. Okay? I am jacked. Listen, here's my boy here, man. These fucking new people, they don't know their ass from their brain, I swear. M. Reyes and I, man, we have fun going back and forth. By the way, I dig this dude. Because you know why? He's here every day. Okay? Every day. Warren Moon has been on this show several times. I think it's 5, Greg. Okay? I think it's 5. Still's not a racist. Now, I don't know what that means, and I don't want to know. Okay? I don't want to know. I think 32 teams have won by elite quarterbacks. Interesting. That means half the Super Bowls were won by non-elite quarterbacks. Although there are some who are close to elite. Yes. Half the super. Dude, you don't have to be an elite quarterback to win a Super Bowl. Jeff Hostetler. Okay. Hey, Sue, maybe you could tell me what BBC means. I'm sure you know.